Hello, movie people. Welcome to a new episode of the CineGuy. I'm your host, Steven Angula. Let's talk film. Did you miss this guy? Come on. Be honest with me, did you? No? Then why did I bother coming back? Alright, back to business. Aaron Sorkin is back. Yes, one of the most prolific writers of our generation. His screenplays has really stood out in all of his films, like Social Network and The West Wing. That's a TV show, but it's still one of his best works. Yes, each movie that he has written brings out a sense of realism and character to each movie pretty much. It is just so mind-bending that he can turn a boring topic into something so interesting that you just cannot take your eyes off the screen. And I gotta say, my favorite movie of his is gotta be Social Network. It is just so well written, and the characters are just so incredibly well thought out that it's possible to love to hate them or love to love them. It's just, I don't know, he just has a huge talent when it comes to his films. And now he's back to turn yet another historical event into a thought-provoking and interesting film. The anti-Vietnam War protests. The Trial of the Chicago Sevens features an ensemble cast of Eddie Redmayne, Sacha Baron Cohen, Mark Rylance, and so many others as we explore the court case of 7 individuals who were highly involved in the protests against the Vietnam War during the Democratic National Convention. Now, most films involving, true events usually stir around the documentary as a narrative portion, as in we're just watching facts and that's it. And at times it tends to get boring at times because it takes a lot more than just facts and history to make a movie about that certain event interesting. But Sorkin, he really knows how to soak us up into the whole film and make us a part of this amazing movement. Oh my gosh. Most court movies are okay, I'm sitting in a courtroom and there's a trial going on. Okay, boring. But this one was so mesmerizing. I actually felt like I was there, not as an audience for the case. I felt like I was being tried. That's how great his writing was. And let me just say, this movie is highly appropriate for the grave times we're currently living in 2020. So the film explores 7 people. Let me see if I can remember their names. Tom Hayden, Ronnie Davis, John Froines, David Dillinger, Lee Warner, Jerry Rubin, and Abby Hoffman. Wow. Quite as the people. Now, these guys are very anti-Vietnam War. And it was a huge movement back then. The war was deemed, unnecessary and okay, we were sending people off to die for no reason. So, yeah, the hippie movement, some pacifists, or even just regular people involved in colleges or just independent movements were really vocal against against this war. They knew it was just they knew that it was pretty much a death sentence for people around their age. So they knew no, we don't want anyone to die. Enough of this, you're killing us. Now, each individual does have their own characteristic of how they approach their anti-Vietnam War message. Tom Hayden, he's more of a by-the-books good guy who likes to avoid trouble. And David Dillinger, he's a straight-up pacifist. He does not want violence. He wants everything to be about peace. As for Abby Hoffman and Jerry Rubin, they were big on the hippie movement. They're more okay, get straight to the point, we're gonna do this. And I just love the way they conveyed humor in order to spread their message, because sometimes laughter is the best way to learn. Now, there is an 8th member, and that is Bobby Seale, the leader of the Black Panther Party. But the thing is, he wasn't even supposed to be there. He was on trial for, he was accused of murdering a cop in a different state. So why was he in a court case involving 7 and completely different white men against the Vietnam War movement when that wasn't really his main focus? He has no lawyer to represent him, and the judge is clearly biased against him, won't even let him speak for himself. He could be Judge, my lawyer's not here. Contend because you're a black man. But it's a look on prejudice against the Black Panther Party, or black people in general, back in those days, and today as well. Because Even though he had nothing to do with this trial, the black man was still, on trial for something he did not do. And that scene where they chained him up and gagged him was just so revolting to watch. I mean, it was clearly they saw him as inhuman. I mean, honestly, like, even JGL, who plays the prosecutor, knew, like, okay, this is a bad look for us. We cannot be doing this. So yeah, I was so glad that he was dismissed from the trial because, he wasn't even supposed to be there in the first place. But seriously, like, you're just showing off your true colors of, prejudice and just pure awfulness when you're doing this to a man just because of his color of skin. I mean, so what if CO, like, raised his voice? He was trying to make a point. He had no lawyer. Meanwhile, the other defendants, they're always raising their voice. All they get was like, contempt. That's it. You're a bad boy. That's it. They never got beaten or chained or anything like that. Ridiculous. But then, of course, Judge Fat Boy. Sorry, Frank Langella. I really respect you as an actor. He's clearly just attacking him for no reason. And I don't know, the fact, like, okay, so at the end of the movie, it shows that many law officials saw the judge, Judge Hoffman, as unqualified to be a judge. So why was he even involved with this trial? It was clear that he was against these people. It was not a fair case. Now, as we explore this story, we see that it's a major us versus them scenario. The cops blame the protesters for the riots, and the protesters blame the cops for the riots. So yeah, it's us versus them and all that stuff. Now, it's typical political business because what's happening now? Okay, there's a riot at a BLM march, and everybody condemns the entire movement over the actions of, like, a few people, and half of them are the ones trying to look for trouble. They're usually, like, undercover cops trying to incite riots, or undercover white supremacists trying to, make them look bad. It's pretty clear there's a whole war going on of, making the other side look terrible. Now, the whole movie is a huge reflection of today's times. We got people siding with the government for the Vietnam War because USA. I mean, okay, I understand if you don't agree with the whole anti-war message, but I don't see anything wrong with it. They just don't want you to die. But you think, oh, you dare say you don't want this war, you don't support this war, you don't support us, then get out of my country. Sound familiar? Now, for the ones on the protester side, they have good reason, all right? A lot of them believe in, non-violence and, like, okay, we don't want this death sentence on our hands. So it's pretty clear to see, like, on whose side this movie is. Because the way we saw it, a lot of the cops were the ones, inciting the riots. They wanted to start trouble just to make the hippies, the protesters look bad in general. If you see a man wearing a gas mask and a blue uniform pretty much whacking a girl's face off with a club, whose side are you gonna be on? Because that girl was just marching, not even doing anything to cause trouble. And worst of all, when the leaders, the 7 individuals, or some of them, they got cornered at a restaurant, what do the cops do? They remove their name tags and badges. It's no longer to protect and serve. It's more like, I'm gonna do whatever the hell I want with you, and you can't do anything about it because you don't even know who I am anymore. Sound familiar? But that restaurant scene does show the hypocrisy of our government. It's filled like mainly like government, like high officials, who are involved with Democratic National Convention, all that stuff, or any kind of government position, and they're just like watching TV. They don't care that outside of that restaurant, which the windows kind of tinted, there's an act of violence happening. They don't care. They're in their own separate little world, and that kind of shows their true colors. They don't care about you, yet you still defend them. And the only time they actually give a damn is when the cops push the leaders through the window, and they're not like, hey, why are you pushing this guy through a window? No, it's more like, hey, my window, what are you guys doing? Oh, come on. Yeah, it's a very intense movie that really showcases the anti-war movement, which, to me, personally, I don't see why it was that big to begin with. You're protesting war. The act of sending your sons, fathers, uncles, brothers, friends, neighbors to a whole different world to be slaughtered. And you think it's an attack on your patriotic beliefs? Why would you support a government that only sees you as collateral? I mean, it's happening right now in this time. Not back in the 70s. It might be far worse right now. And plus, the Vietnam War has already been deemed unnecessary. So what? Are you so red, white, and blue-blooded that you think me not wanting you to send your loved ones to die in a war is suddenly an attack against your patriotic beliefs? No! I don't want anyone to die! That was the whole point of the whole movement! The real treat was during the sentencing. As the 7 are being, sentenced to, prison time, what does Tom Hayden do? He picks up his notebook and starts reading out loud the names of all the fallen soldiers who died in Vietnam. And you know what? He says their ages too. And when I heard 18, 19, basically under the age of 21, that's what shocked me, because these are kids. They haven't lived their lives yet. And yet you're okay with them dying. Why? Because America. F yeah. But the best part is that during the name reading, everybody stands up and raises their fists in solidarity. All right? They're paying respect to the fallen. They understand what this whole thing was all about. All right? The whole hippie movement, anti-war protests, the whole reason behind that was so that there would never be a list of the deceased, especially when they're so as young as 18 and 19. That was the whole point. No, an 18-year-old should be worrying about college, starting a new job, maybe getting married, having a family, or living their lives the best way they can. Not going off to war and pretty much coming back in a body bag. So you know what? That's the true patriotic message that this movie is sharing. And that's the one that should be spread all across this beautiful nation. It made me laugh when that judge tried to silence them. I'll be like, order in the court. But nobody listened. The name calling just got higher and higher. It got louder, yes. Especially, it kind of disgusts me when the other prosecutor next to JGL just stands up and just walks away like, wow, are you that insensitive and full of yourself that you can't give respect to the fallen soldiers because it goes against your ideology? Makes you look bad in this court case? No, you stand up because that's what it's all about. And you know what? With all those people silencing or just walking away in disgust, you cannot let that stop you or even silence you in you trying to share your message to the world. Because like the movie said, the whole world is watching. The whole world is watching. Overall, it's a powerful and truly, truly remarkable movie by Aaron Sorkin, and honestly his best since The Social Network. Yes, I applaud, and I see many, many Oscars in the future for this film. So that's why my final rating is gonna be 9.5 hippies out of 10 protests. Yes, finally a movie that is higher than a 9. I mean, we've been missing that a lot these past few days or months. Alright, I guess I should probably explain myself. The reason you haven't seen a new episode in a long time because I've been very busy. I started a new job, so, time has not been on my side lately, so I am just happy to finally, give you guys a new treat and a new film. But hey, I have been very active on social media, especially my Instagram. Just like and follow at CineGuy Steven on Instagram for more fun reviews. I posted many films like War with Grandpa, Antebellum. Yeah, go check it out, guys. It's not just YouTube, it's everywhere. Alright, guys, hope you enjoyed this review. Leave a like if you did, subscribe and join the crew, and I'll see you next time for another awesome review. Until next time, this is Steven Angulo signing off. The whole world is watching. The whole world is watching!